Welcome to the BCFC Coaches Show for Week 6. The first half of the season is in the books as all 6 teams are back in action following the Labor Day bye week. The first place and 5-0 Vancouver Island Raiders stay at home in Week 6 as they host the 3-2 West Shore Rebels on Saturday afternoon. It's part 2 of the Island rivalry. The Raiders winning by 66 points in week number 2. Raiders head coach Matt Blocker tells us his team got some time off during the bye.
Yeah, absolutely. Right from the final whistle of the Okanagan Sun game, we were off until Tuesday evening, so everybody got a good chance to get some rest. And one of our coaches got married, so we all got a chance to be part of that, and we had a great weekend. So it was a lot of fun, but now it's time to get back to work.
Does he get a honeymoon?
He got 2 days, yeah. He got 2 days, and so he was a chance to get back to practice, and they're going to worry about the honeymoon when the season's over.
Has it been easy to get back in the swing of things?
Yeah, it has. I thought Tuesday night, which was our first practice, was probably the highest tempo practice we've had all year. Wow. So it's been a great work week for us, and we're excited. And we're also very excited that we get our Island rivalry in our house here on Saturday.
Well, yeah, out of the bye, you get West Shore, a team that you put up 72 points against in Week 2. Is there a concern that there may be a lull and maybe a sense of overconfidence with your club going into this game?
No, we're not going to. We've decided as a team we're not going to focus on that game. As you know, the West Shore Rebels are a completely different team than when we played them then. And, we're fortunate maybe to get them early in the season. But as you can tell from their last game versus Kamloops, they're a completely different team. So
I want to reflect now on the first half of the season. Give me your report card. With school just starting, give me a report card on your team in the first half of the season.
Well, I think I would say we're, a B or B minus. I think sometimes the scores are maybe not indicative of how we've played, and I think at times we haven't played very good, to be honest with you, Ryan, and it's something we need to work on. And our effort, has been an A+, and that's one thing about this team. I definitely can say our work ethic has been A+, and once our mental matches our work ethic, I think then we'll be pretty good. But until that happens, we're still making too many mistakes, taking too many dumb penalties, and our discipline hasn't been where it needs to be. So those are things we've talked about, and that's where we need to focus the second half, and we need to get a lot better, come the end of the season, or we won't finish where we want to.
The West Shore Rebels jumped above 500 just before the bye with the only shutout in the BCFC in the first half. The Rebels are on a high note heading into Week 6 after their 47-0 win and some time off.
Absolutely, yeah. Everybody, half of the guys went home, and it was a good week off. We did some conditioning, had some fun, but other than that, it was a good rest.
First half ended on a high note, a 47-0 shutout. Does that give the club a push, a little bit of extra confidence going into the second half?
I think so. The boys, they got an extra pep in their step for sure this week, and it was a definite confidence booster, a big game, and we needed to, start firing on all cylinders, and we certainly made strides to get to where we want to be.
You go into VI or Nanaimo this coming weekend. How much do you take from the first meeting with the Raiders that you put into this week?
Well, you take lots. It just goes to show you if you're if you're watching these guys play, they can play. I mean, you got to play 60 minutes of football, and you got to bring your A game. And you have these little letdowns; they'll pile points on you in a hurry. So, I mean, it's an embarrassing loss at home. If you got any kind of pride, you certainly want to, come out with a much better effort next time we play them. So, that sticks in the back of our minds, but we're confident that we can have a much better showing than that this time around.
Well, looking at the first half of the season, if you could give your team a report card, all 3 facets, or the 3 main facets, special teams, defense, offense, what grade would you give?
It's tough. Obviously, the grading wouldn't be great in the first 4 games, but I think, the thing I always think about, Ryan, is that we play in flashes, and the turnovers is what's really, really hurt our team. Yeah. We would have big emotional letdowns after a turnover, and so it would affect all 3 phases of our game. And that's something we were really, really cognizant of last game against Kamloops, and we turned the ball over 3 times in the fourth quarter inside our own 30 and still kept the shutout. So obviously, it's getting better, and it's kind of hard to say really, grade-wise, but it certainly would be a C at best.
Saturday night, the 2-3 Langley Rams and 1-4 Kamloops Broncos will square off for the second time in 3 weeks. The Rams winning in Week 4, 28-10, as Nick Downey scored 3 touchdowns. The Rams have won 2 straight, and head coach Jeff Alamahota talks about their bye week.
We actually went right back to work. We did give them 1 day off. We practiced 2 days during the week last week. We did give them 1 day off, but we felt that it was a good opportunity for us to get a little bit of extra work in and kind of refocus and worry about us as opposed to worrying about an opponent. So we just kind of focused on us during the week and worked to get better.
Well, let's look at your opponent for this week. It's the Kamloops Broncos. You saw them just a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago. You put up 488 yards against them. Do you expect to see more of the same from your club?
I do. I think that what we're trying to do is focus on getting better every week as a club. So, I wouldn't expect anything less. I think that where we were then is definitely where we want to be now and improved on that, actually. So hopefully we can. I'd definitely like to see less penalties than we had against them the last time, and that was a main focus for us going into the week.
Okay, I'm going to put a teacher's apple on your desk. You have to give me a report card of your team in the first half of the season.
Wow, that's a tough one, because I think with so many different aspects of our team to grade, it can be all over the place. I think if you wanted to give an overall mark, I would say, C plus B, somewhere in that range. If you ask me about their work ethic and their work habits and how hard these guys are committed to becoming a great football team, I would say I'd give them an A. But we took a lot of penalties and we did a lot of mental mistakes and as a young team, we can expect that. So I can't give them a great grade, but, I would definitely say overall I was pretty happy and give them a C plus B for sure.
The Kamloops Broncos entered the bye week banged up after getting shut out in West Shore. They'll look to put a cap on the Rams this week after head coach Duncan Othius says they had an enjoyable week off.
We did. We gave them, we went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we gave them the rest of the week off and came back Monday for film, and we've been going at it since then.
Do they seem refreshed?
They do. It's been a kind of a tough first half of the season, but they're refreshed and ready to go. We've kind of changed some of the defensive spots around, and hopefully that will ignite a little fire underneath them.
What have you been working on this week specifically in preparation for Langley?
Basically to contain Downey. He's once he gets the ball in his hand, he's dangerous, and as you can see what he did to us the first game. And we just got to keep the ball out of his hands, and hopefully none of their other guys can beat us. But they're capable of doing that, so we got to be aware of Downey and their other players as well.
Can you take a lot from that first game and apply it to this game?
I believe so. We came out flat in the first half, and then in the second half we played like we can. And if we can eventually put a game together where we're consistent for the full game, I think we'll be pretty dangerous.
I've been asking all the BCFC head coaches this same question now that school is back in session and reflecting on the first half of the season. If you were a teacher, what kind of grade, what kind of report card would you give the Kamloops Broncos in the first half?
Ooh, right now I would give a C minus. I would say we're capable of C minus and an N for effort. we're capable of much better, and it's just as I said before, we got to put a complete game together, and we haven't been able to do that.
The lone Sunday game has the second place 4-1 Okanagan Sun hosting the 0-5 Chilliwack Huskers. The Sun made some noise in the bye week, letting offensive coordinator Tony Lindsay go and bringing back Jay Christensen, who last coached the club in 2008. Head coach Jason Casey gave his players some time off during the bye week.
Most of the team went their separate ways. We gave a good 5 days off for all the out-of-town guys. We got a lot of kids from Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, so they were allowed to go home and see their folks and friends and family or girlfriends, so be it. And myself, personally, I went fishing. It was great to get away and not think about football. And
new offensive coordinator Jay Christensen has now seen the club for a couple of days now. He has a chance to meet the players a couple of days ago. What have you seen? Have you seen any differences as far as the O goes or just attitudes?
I saw Jay right away. Yesterday we had kind of a spur-of-the-moment practice. We were just going to have film and meetings, but with Jay coming up back on, we wanted to go out and get back on the field and just hands-on at every position. Right away, he was going around every position, making sure what he wants done is being done, which I'm really glad to see. I do the same thing with my defense, so it's nice to see Jay doing that with the offense, very hands-on, and just getting to know the players right away so he can start seeing, okay, who are going to be the key guys when I want to call plays come game day.
You draw the Chilliwack Huskers coming out of the bye week. What do you know about them? How are you preparing?
They've got a talented O-line. I think the majority of their talent falls on their defense. You can't underestimate their defense. Obviously, someone listening to this would say, well, they're 0-5. How can that be? They just don't have the depth. They just unfortunately don't have the depth that, VI or ourselves or Langley might have at key positions. So that hinders the progress of any team when you're trying to play 60 minutes. The first halves of their games, they're a very competitive football team. They're tough and nasty. So our offense cannot underestimate their defense, and we have to make sure we contain their quarterback. Their quarterback will run. They love to pass. They're going to set up in a lot of passing formations, but that quarterback, he will not hesitate to take off and run. So our D-line and outside linebackers have to key on that as well.
In thinking of school and the same theme, you're now a teacher. Give me a report card on the first half of the season for the Sun.
As a whole, I will go B-. There's still some thing, like the biggest thing for me is mental mistakes. I got no problem if you're going up against a guy who's faster than you. Okay, well that's something we got to work on the offseason. If he's stronger than you, that's something we work on the offseason. But mental mistakes when it comes to system-wise, that can happen once. But if a player doesn't show that he can correct it, learn from it, and get into a groove where it doesn't happen again, then that's a problem for me. So I think we're still making way too many mental mistakes, and a lot of them are reoccurring.
The bye week gave the Chilliwack Huskers a chance to rest and recover after a difficult start to the season. The Huskers have come back refocused and are eager to get their first win. Head coach Luke Atchison tells us what they did during their week off.
To be honest, we didn't do all that much. We took a break. We recharged. It's been a bit of a tough part of the season. Well, a lot of guys had to go home, out-of-towners, and we didn't do all that much during the bye week, but got back at her this week.
Out of the bye, you traveled to Kelowna. First time this year you've seen the Sun. How are you preparing for Okanagan?
Well, it's interesting. Okanagan Sun have made a change at offensive coordinator, so offensively we can prepare for them as we would any week and watch film to prepare that way and break things down and get ready for what we've seen thus far in the season. For our defensive guys, a little bit tougher. I'm not quite sure what Jay Christensen's gonna come at us with. We know they've had some time to prepare with the bye week, so we're kind of preparing for what we've seen so far, and also trying to think of what they might do in terms of making some changes.
I want to ask you about the first half, if you could reflect on that with school opening up this week. If you could give your team a report card, a grade for the first half of the season, what would that be?
Good question. If I was to grade an overall grade, we could have played better than we did in a few cases. I think at times we did play very well. We seemed to play tough teams pretty well for the most part. Mm-hmm. If I was to give a grade, I'd give them a C, where we got a lot of improving to do.
The BCFC resumes action this weekend as the league turns the corner into the second half of the season. You can follow the BCFC on Facebook. Enjoy Week 6. Until next time, I'm Ryan Waters.